I'm starting a new thing and I'm calling it Founders Vlog. So I'm Natalie Lucier, founder of AccessAlly, which is the most powerful WordPress-based plugin for online courses and membership site creators who want to scale. And here's the thing, I've been doing videos on YouTube for over a decade. In my very first training business, I was doing tutorials on raw foods and healthy eating and making smoothies and things like that. And then over time, I switched over and did a full circle back into technology because I have a degree in software engineering. And I realized that I love doing tech tutorials. And since focusing solely on AccessAlly, it's a software as a service business in the WordPress space, our team has grown so much. We have support people, we have marketing, a product manager, developer. We have so many amazing talented people on our team, and I realized that doing just tech tutorials doesn't do a service to the business that we have. And I also feel like we don't really hear from founders all that much anymore, especially when it comes to female founders of tech companies. And what I realized is that a lot of times founders kind of disappear, and that's definitely what happened to me for a few years. And part of the reason that I disappeared is honestly because I had 2 kids, and I let my team do more of the marketing and handle more of the day-to-day so I could spend a bit more time with my children. And then obviously the pandemic hit. We didn't have childcare, schools were closed. It was a lot to juggle, as I'm sure you may have experienced yourself too. And now that I have a little bit more time on my hands again, I wanted to get back in front of the camera, and not necessarily to teach or give how-to advice, although in these vlogs, I am sure I'm gonna be sharing some advice and some lessons that I've learned along the way, but I wanted to make these a little bit more personal, a little bit more unscripted and off the cuff, and share the realities of being an entrepreneur. So in today's day and age, there is a lower barrier to entry than ever before. And that's a great thing for starting a business, whether you have an idea or you have a course you want to share or you have something that you want to create for a community or a movement, then you probably have access to the tools you need to do it. But what people don't often talk about is what it's like being an entrepreneur and what it's like going through that roller coaster of emotions. You know, some days are amazing. Some days we are pumped to get out of bed. Things are going great in the business. We have all these features that are being developed in AccessAlly. We have these super smart people on our team developing them, and it is super exciting, and I'm just pumped to be there. And other days, things don't go that smooth, whether it is something I have to deal with on the tax side that just gets more and more complicated every year, or it's something bigger than that where I realize, okay, we need to restructure something, or we need to change how we're doing something because the market is shifting and things aren't the way they used to be when we started the business. And so there's all these ups and downs in this entrepreneurial journey, and I want to take you with me on that journey. And one of the things that you might not know about me and my husband, Robin, is that we moved to a small farm in southern Ontario about 2 years ago. And so that means we've been homesteading. We got some chickens, some ducks, some geese, and some sheep, and we've been doing all kinds of stuff. And if you want to follow that journey, I have a whole other YouTube channel for our farm, Waykeeper Farm and Nerdery. So definitely go and check that out, and you'll find the links for that below. Now, going back to this entrepreneurial journey. So I have had so many great experiences over the years as being a business owner. I've gotten to go to conferences. I've met incredible partners and friends and colleagues. And I feel like entrepreneurship has added so much richness to my life. Obviously, we wouldn't have been able to afford a farm if we didn't have a business that did so well. But beyond that, I've learned a lot about what business and capitalism especially has done to the world. And so, you know, I'm always reading books. I have been a book lover and a word nerd for many, many years now. And one of the things that I've been realizing as I read more on capitalism and the environment is the detrimental effect that capitalism as it stands today has on so many people across the world. A lot of times we think that, you know, business is just business, but the way that capitalism is designed, it is obviously to maximize profits for shareholders and for people who have capital. And that essentially hurts people who are doing the labor or creating the value. And I think that as entrepreneurs, we have a responsibility to really focus on people who might be doing labor in our businesses, or if we are doing labor in our businesses, which many of us are still at this point, it's really important to remember, what value are we creating, and are we just perpetuating capitalism in our small businesses? So for me, I want to be the exception. I see all the time all of these online businesses that get purchased, especially in the tech space. You know, small software companies and small WordPress companies are getting bought up by bigger and bigger companies, and this consolidation just doesn't sit right with me. So it's not that I'm against, mergers and acquisitions or acquisitions in general, but I just think that sometimes when a business is sold or merged with another business for the sole purpose of increasing profits for the bigger business and the bigger owner, it really takes away from the people who purchased that plugin or that software, because the value shifts away from the customer and towards the top level and the owner, and it really changes that dynamic, and it really becomes more of a capitalist system as opposed to a small business that has a lot more value and is a lot closer to its customers. So I'm not saying this is the case in all situations, but it's one thing that has been on my mind a lot as I see more and more WordPress-based especially, but different types of software companies especially getting bought up by these equity firms and other companies that are just out to profit from all these businesses being merged together. The whole point of capitalism is to increase capital. It's always about growth. It's always about making more. And there is no enough is enough when it comes to capitalism, because the whole point is you want to make money and then you want to reinvest that money so it keeps making you money, which sounds good because it's something that we keep hearing over and over again, but we forget what value is being created as we reinvest. And I think a lot of times what we think about when we're reinvesting is we don't realize that there are limits to the natural world. And a lot of times when we reinvest in the current system, a lot of that reinvestment happens in places that we don't see. So if you're investing in the stock market or you're investing in fossil fuels, you don't see the extraction that's happening. You don't see the displacement and all of the side effects of that money being spent to make more profits. And a lot of the profits really are being made at the expense of the people who live there, the people who used to have good jobs or used to have a viable living, who are being displaced or who are being given a really poor side of the equation. And that happens with big companies too. So you have these big companies who come in and then they're essentially a monopoly, and people who want to work don't really have that many options anymore. And that's why we have that great resignation that we're kind of seeing right now, where people are realizing, you know what, I don't want to work so crazy with zero benefits and really low pay. And I think that's why we're seeing this great resignation right now, because you have these giant corporations that have so much money and almost have a monopoly over jobs. And then you have people realizing, you know what, I'm being mistreated at work. I have poor pay, almost no benefits, no protection, and that's why people are waking up and realizing they don't want to do it. And I think that's why as online business owners, we need to keep the value in our businesses in a way that gives to our customers and really makes that exchange clear and makes that exchange a good win-win situation, and not in a way that sucks all the value out of the business into the shareholders and, tries to perpetuate this cycle of more. And it's one of the things that I personally fight against all the time, and I think we should all really think about is, what is that enough number for you? And I think all the time we're being told that we should reach for bigger goals and bigger income goals and more and make more money. And I think that's great. And I'm definitely not opposed to making a lot of money or having you make a lot of money. But I think also knowing what is enough for you to live comfortably and what is enough for you to sustain your family and your community with. Because a lot of times when we're constantly striving, it can be really depleting, not only physically for yourself and for your team potentially, but also because of the effects of capital. As you accumulate that capital and reinvest it, it is only going to cause more and more issues. And that is what I really worry about, is in this environmental space that we're in right now, with capital externalizing all the costs of destroying nature. A lot of times we don't see those, and then we end up with issues where we don't have clean water, or we don't have clean air, and we don't have a sustainable planet to live on with climate change. So I know this is super heady stuff, super deep stuff, probably not stuff you want to think about at all, but it's stuff that keeps me up at night, honestly. And it's part of that reconciling my business, my entrepreneurial journey, my focus and my drive and my ambition, which I still absolutely have, but balancing it within the realm of nature and balancing it with the reality that we live on. We don't have an infinite planet. There are limits to growth, and there are limits to what we can do. With an online business, there's a lot of scaling that's possible. There's so much growth you can have without having a detrimental effect on the environment. But at the same time, how you reinvest those funds really matters. You want to reinvest it in people, in causes that matter to you, in sustaining your own family, maybe in planting trees or other things that will really make a difference, whether it's for you ethically and personally or for future generations. And I think that is where the future of business is, and that is where the power of small business and small online businesses that reinvest in their communities really comes together. And yeah, it sounds like I'm preaching, and I think I kind of am, but I think this is what's really missing from the conversation in the online business space. And I think as small business owners, we sometimes imitate these big corporations in our decision making because they're the only role models we have. So we think, yeah, it's normal to say, oh, it's just business, I don't care about this, or I'm going to externalize this cost because it doesn't show up on my balance sheet. But those are the kinds of things I want you to resist and not go towards, because that is really what's missing in our governance, in our big corporations. And let's face it, they have so much power and influence over everything that happens on the planet. And I don't think any of us really likes that. So the more power and influence we can develop ourselves in a positive way and apply it in ways that really resonates with our ethics and the things that matter to us, we can offset their power and their influence in that way. So yes, go out, make money, but really think about how you're going to use that money to make a difference in the world, because I don't think it's okay to just keep accumulating and hope that nobody gets hurt in the process and that it doesn't hurt anything in the environment, because that is usually what happens as you reinvest your capital in the wrong businesses and in the wrong directions. And if you want to learn more about this topic, there's a great book called Everything Environmentalists Need to Know About Capitalism. And that book has been blowing my mind. It's also been having me question everything in my business. And luckily I have a really smart husband, Robin, to talk these things through with, to walk me off the ledge sometimes, because I do feel like it really affects how I think about our business now. And I know that by being here, a female-led tech company that is not looking to get acquired, that is looking to pay our employees well and create a great place to work, create a great product for our customers, and make a difference in the world, it's kind of an exception, let's be honest, right? And I think that is really what keeps me going and really keeps me motivated when we do hit those lulls and we hit those down points in the entrepreneurship journey. So I want you to think about what it is that you are doing that's the exception in your business. How are you being the change that you want to see in the world? And definitely leave a comment below, because I don't know how this is resonating. I don't know how this is landing. And I want to know what keeps you going and how you get through those slumps as an entrepreneur. So I am Natalie Lucier. This is my founder's vlog. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe, and let me know if you want more of these, because I cannot wait to share more of this entrepreneurial journey and some of the things that we've learned along the way to building this software business.